Hello, and welcome to Anime Audio Commentary. Today I'll be commenting on episode 11 of Konosuba Season 3. If you'd like to watch along, then start watching now. So last we left off, Kazuma has decided to interrupt the wedding at great personal cost. Mainly because he'd basically have to wipe out his entire net worth to pay off this whole thing. Ooh. Alright, this is something. Like, Kazuma's going for it. Like, man, I had mentioned at some point that, like, this was the sort of thing I'd like to see out of romance anime. Like, this sort of, well, frankly, heroic behavior. And I'm kind of two minds, because on the one hand, I'm really enjoying this, but on the other hand, that it would come from Konosuba and Kazuma. It's like, it feels like that shouldn't be right, but at the same time, man, I mean, Kazuma's just giving up like 2 billion in gold coins just like that. And I feel like this was kind of calculated on his part too, like, you know, just casually throw a bunch of money around to distract everyone. So I guess the question is, does he escape cleanly? I mean, tellingly, you know, Darkness isn't saying, like, you know, no, like, don't do this. Well, to a degree, but man. For her to learn so readily that he's basically sold, like, everything he has, all his intellectual property, everything. And for her, like, okay. Yeah. I guess this was to be expected, that he would ultimately sort of, you know, turn the tables a little bit. Like, you know, he's not doing this totally out of heroism. Oh man, he's gonna have to carry her out of there. Like, it's all over at this point. He might have overplayed his hand a little bit, just because I feel like carrying her or dragging her is going to be far more difficult than just running out on foot. Wow. Yeah, you know, I don't blame Darkness for melting over something like this. Man, just against all the odds, this was rather heroic. You know, it's a really nice change of pace. And I guess the question is, now that they're surrounded, is Megumin gonna blow up the church or what? Like, you know, she made that threat. I feel like she would be more than willing to fulfill it. I mean, I guess it's nice that Darkness is willing to sort of stand up for herself now, even if it might be ineffective. Because I guess really that's kind of been the crux of this whole season. She hasn't exactly been herself. You know, it is telling that Alderp is almost entirely uninterested in Darkness now that he has money. Oh. Oh, it was a ruse. Oh, well played indeed. Oh. So naturally, I assume this is where Megumin comes in, right? Like, obviously she's gonna blow up that giant palooka. I also find it interesting that he was just sort of like hiding up in the balcony waiting for an opportune moment to drop in. But, man. Alright. So that's interesting. You know, obviously that can't have been Megumin who did that. Ooh. Oh, Union. She got roped into this. I mean, I guess good on her for helping, but, you know, she's a little too eager to break the law if it'll earn her a friend. Ooh. Yeah, you know, I guess it really isn't a good thing that Megumin is really on the verge of just casting Explosion on a hair trigger. I mean, it might be a better idea to sort of, get out of Dodge. You know, blow something up to cover your retreat, but maybe keep the destruction to a minimum. I mean, I guess if nothing else, it's, mutually assured destruction. Like, you wouldn't dare restrain us lest I, activate my spell and all that. Oh dear indeed. I mean, it's really not good that Elderp is, like, so beyond the point of reason that he would even provoke getting blown up. Because, like, surely that would have to prove fatal to normal people, right? Ooh. Man, that's pretty telling. Megumin can't even be honest and sincere about it. So I guess the question is, what do the adventurers do? Like, obviously they can't side with the nobleman even if he is technically within the boundaries of the law. This is one of those things where it's like, Robin Hood, robbing from the king to give to the people. You know what? I guess that's a nice little bit of plausible deniability. If we're having fun and playing a nice game of soccer, we can't possibly help out. I think there's something rather elegant about the strategic, I don't know what you'd call it, not incompetence, but like the, strategic ignorance, I guess. Sort of turning a blind eye. Although I guess, if there are more guards, they can't exactly turn a blind eye totally. Ooh. Man, this is a very unfortunate development that Megumin's actually just been, like, holding this whole thing back, and it's actually been taking effort to do so. I feel like blowing up the city would be a real bad thing to do, especially considering how big and horrifying it looks. Man. Like, surely she could shoot it upwards, right? Wow. This is a very, singularly destructive explosion in terms of its magnitude. I feel like we haven't seen its like, even if it didn't really destroy the town. I guess maybe the idea that it could destroy the town was what sort of lent it that sort of a destructive appearance. Ooh. You know what? I guess it was to be expected at some point. Despite putting up such a heroic front, old habits die hard for Kazuma. But you know what? I can't really fault him that much. Like, the execution of the previous episode and this one up till now have been so excellent. I guess the question is, how do they get out of this, Like, I suppose people are just going to strategically feign incompetence. I mean, it seems to be working, I guess. The guards know, like, we're not going to humor this farce, but, I guess they don't have much of a choice. Man, despite being, just a bunch of rabble-rousers, the adventurers are pretty good, morally upstanding guys when, the situation calls for it. I mean, I can't help but, remember that they decided to start a soccer game. This kind of reminds me of that, every time, like, a soccer player gets nudged, they fall on the ground dramatically as though they've just broken their ankle. I guess it makes sense that Dust would be so keen to get revenge seeing as what happened. And we didn't really get any follow-up on that. Probably for the best, honestly. Oh dear. Yeah, Darkness's father's looking, rather gaunt, which I don't suppose bodes well for him. I guess it's rather unfortunate, things have been rather triumphant up until this point, but it was made pretty clear that, his death is pretty much set in stone. Like, he can't magic his way out of this. I mean, I guess if there is some consolation, it's that, the debts have been paid off, so, I suppose he can die content in the fact that, his family's no longer in debt and his daughter didn't have to get sold off. Man. Cosmo's got some serious competition. Like... oh. Wow. It came out of nowhere. I mean, I wouldn't say that to a man on his deathbed if I were in his position, but boy. Oh. Wow. Completely lost my train of thought. Like, Cosmo just had to dunk on Darkness in front of her dying father. Man. I mean, I feel like in Cosmo's position, he should at least, humor the old guy. Maybe take into account that this is his, his dying wish. Like, maybe not agree to it in all the terms. Like, don't marry Darkness necessarily, but at least, agree to the spirit of the wish. Yeah, I've got a bad feeling that, he has... Oh. Okay, I thought he had passed away. Like, just expired here and now, but... I mean, I feel like it's gotta be inevitable at this point, right? Like, the guy's clearly not doing well. Oh. Something tells me this much aggravation probably isn't good for the old guy, even if Aqua has good intentions. Wow. Hush my mouth, I thought we were gonna get all sad and melancholy, but, it was a curse after all. Man, just like that. I'm glad Aqua has latched onto the salient point of wanting to talk about Darkness's late mother. Ooh. Okay, so Alderp was working with a demon here. And, to sort of berate and kick a demon like that, that's a bold choice, So I'm wondering, like, is this guy beholden to Alderp because he's like Cosmo? Is that the deal here? Yeah, okay. So I guess that's confirmation, but... I guess unfortunately for Alderp, like, Aqua has intervened and prevented this. If it had been anyone else, maybe he could bend reality to his will again, but... Man. I guess it really is rather fortunate that Cosmo decided to bring Aqua with him rather than, something useful. Ooh. Alderp is getting a little bit overconfident here, just releasing a demon from a contract before he's certain about things. Yeah, I think, there's going to be some serious comeuppance here. Oh. Okay. I almost expected Darkness to, like, do something, but, yeah, Vanir, like, he's certainly up to no good. Okay. So there's a bit of a wrinkle here. You know, a demon who bends the truth in the literal sense, and Vanir who knows, well, everything, essentially. So, how very interesting. Ooh. Yeah, this Maxwell guy seems, rather dangerous. And the idea that he was, made docile by a pact is probably very fortunate for Elderp, even if this guy doesn't seem to be, all that dangerous inherently. Oh dear. Yeah, there's gonna be all sorts of consequences. So I'm wondering, like, did Vanir manipulate this whole thing to just try and get Max out of the contract? Ooh. Yeah, this is actually a very neat twist, I think. Oh my god, he was wearing a wig the whole time. Will the twists never end? Man, like, I mean, there were hints of dealings and stuff, but for the twist to be something like this is rather remarkable. Man, like, I think it should really be made clear that this is Konosuba, which was essentially like a parody or a spoof. It was something primarily funny, and that, things would get so serious. Like, it is kind of out of left field, but at the same time, it's done so well. And the contrast... Man. I really am impressed. So it seems like, this really is like the end for this guy. I mean, surely he couldn't just, like, give up the $2 billion in gold, right? Yeah, no, unfortunately, I do think this is the end for Elderp, and quite frankly, he really does deserve it. Man. Just like that, like, that's it for him. Of course, the party doesn't really know what actually happened, but it's probably for the best, honestly. Because, like, Cosmo has dealings with Vanir. If he knew the truth, that might tint the relationship. Oh, here we go. It's a rather unfortunate encapsulation of events, but it is ultimately true. I guess it's nice that Darkness is apologetic rather than hesitant. I guess thinking about it, it is rather unfortunate that they're all back to square one financially and that Cosmo doesn't have, I guess, intellectual property to fall back on, so, I mean, as far as, like, going back to square one, this is probably the best way to do it. I mean, it feels more satisfying than just, like, having to pay the town back for all the flood and all that, but, man. Oh, it's even worse. They're in debt now. Hey, wait a minute, no, hold on. Okay, no, I misread that entirely. No, they are rich again, so I guess really truly all's well that ends well. Oh man, I thought that would be a remarkable kick in the knackers that not only did they lose out to $2 billion, but they were also in debt. Well, I guess, truly all's well that ends well, right? Like, how else could darkness possibly resist? Ooh, they're reprising, the first introduction. You know, it's almost sad that Darkness considered her resignation like a real thing. Like, surely nobody ever took it seriously, right? Good stuff, man. Good stuff. So, you know, we never really did see the conclusion of that, whole magical trinket stuff, but I expect if there is more Konosuba at some point, that'll be more of a focal point. I certainly look forward to it. Oh, I almost forgot about the egg. I wonder what's gonna happen, right? Like, surely it's just gonna be a chick, right? You know, I was kind of hoping that it would figure into everything, like it maybe would actually hatch into a dragon that would save everyone, but, man, you know, maybe we're not gonna find out after all. Ooh, I guess this is a new source of tension between Darkness and Megumin, essentially since they're, you know, sort of in competition now. You know, not really, but, oh, Kazuma. Surely he's not going to ask about polygamy, right? Oh dear. Wait a minute, so she's considered divorced? I mean, surely, if anything, the marriage would be annulled, right? Oh dear, divorcedness. Well, that's it for this episode. If you've enjoyed it, then by all means, tune in for the next one. See you, Space Cowboy.